Emirates, KLM, and Qantas.
Emirates, KLM, and Qantas have made huge announcements that could have significant implications on the long-running competition between Airbus and Boeing.
If it's Boeing, I won't fly. Imagine paying thousands of dollars to fly, only to find out your plane is practically falling apart.
These airlines, known for their strong ties to Boeing aircraft, recently announced plans to purchase from Boeing's main rival, Airbus. These announcements have sent shockwaves throughout the industry, as many see it as Airbus's knockout blow to the already struggling Boeing. However, the decision by these airlines to shift from Boeing to Airbus has not been an easy one, as there are a lot of dynamics involved. Today, we dive deeper into these huge announcements and the reasons behind the decision by these airlines to overlook Boeing in favor of Airbus. Stay tuned. Let us start with the Dutch flag carrier, KLM, which has enjoyed a strong relationship with Boeing since March 1967 when it made its first Boeing order, a 747 jumbo jet. Since then, the airline's fleet has been predominantly Boeing. As of December 2024, 96 aircraft out of the airline's 115 aircraft are Boeing-made, accounting for an impressive 84% of the fleet. However, KLM has been facing a problem with the aircraft in its fleet. You see, some of these airliners are aging and require replacement. In fact, its Boeing 42-737 aircraft currently average about 18 years, making this fleet one of the oldest globally. Therefore, KLM has been aware of the need to modernize its fleet in an effort to enhance efficiency and cut costs associated with the need for frequent repairs of the aging jets. So when the airliner made the decision to modernize its fleet, many thought it was automatic that it would choose to purchase new jets from Boeing. However, much to the industry's surprise, KLM announced that it had struck a deal with Airbus for the purchase of 134 Airbus jets spread across the A320 family and the A350 family. It was not immediately clear why the airline had made this decision barely 5 years after its chief executive officer Ben Smith was quoted saying, "In the near future, KLM will only use the 777 and the 787 as their long-haul fleet." As it turns out, there are more factors at play in this decision. However, we shall come back to those factors much later. Let us now shift to another airline that has equally sent shock waves in the industry after announcing its decision to ditch Boeing in favor of its European rival. In the land down under, Qantas has made a similar move, signaling a shift from its long-running relationship with Boeing. At the moment, the airline's fleet of 125 aircraft includes 89 Boeing-made aircraft, but all that is set to change in a few years. In 2021, Qantas announced that it has chosen Airbus as its preferred supplier to replace its domestic fleet. Already, it has committed to purchasing 20 Airbus A321XLR and another 20 A220-300 airliners from the European aircraft manufacturer. In addition to that, it announced that it had taken the purchase option for 94 more narrowbody airliners, subject to approval by the board. These airliners would replace the Boeing 737 and 717 aircraft that the airline had relied upon for years to meet the demand for domestic travel in Australia. And it did not stop at that. In 2022, the airline announced that it had placed an order for 12 Airbus A350-1000 wide-body airliners for its Project Sunrise, a program of non-stop flights from Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane to faraway cities such as New York, Cape Town, Frankfurt, and London. This decision followed intensive consultations after both Boeing and Airbus had pitched their jets, with the former fronting the 777X as the best alternative for Qantas. Thus, the decision by Qantas to overlook the 777X caught the attention of the commercial aviation industry, triggering many questions on why it would make that call. Surprisingly, the case is the same for Emirates, an airline known for its reliance on the Boeing 777 aircraft for its long-haul operations. However, its recent announcement is all but a signal that it could also be angling for a shift away from an increased reliance on the American aircraft manufacturer. In fact, the Gulf-based carrier had initially ordered 70 Airbus A350 aircraft back in 2007, but later cancelled this order and instead added more Boeing 777 aircraft to its fleet in what seemed to be a show of trust and confidence in Boeing. However, things took a turn in November 2019 at the Dubai Air Show, where the airline placed a firm order for 50 Airbus A350-900 aircraft in a deal worth about $16 billion. Later, during the 2023 Dubai Air Show, Emirates announced another firm order for 15 A350-900 aircraft, further solidifying its intention to work with Airbus as it seeks to modernize its long-haul fleet and make it more cost and fuel efficient. Emirates has also made it clear that it is more than willing to purchase the larger Airbus A350-1000 when Rolls-Royce manages to resolve a few engine issues that it has raised. Now, why would these airlines, known to be ardent Boeing customers, make such critical decisions to choose Airbus to replace their Boeing jets? These airlines have considered multiple factors that have informed their decision to shift to Airbus. One of the weightiest factors that have made it necessary to make the tough call is the efficiency associated with the European aircraft. Let us start with the narrow-body airliners that KLM has ordered. In this niche, the A320 family holds a slight edge over its direct Boeing competitor, the 737 MAX series, boasting of a 15% fuel efficiency rating compared to the 14% rating that characterizes the MAX series. Therefore, purchasing the A320 family aircraft guarantees KLM reduced operating costs and, more importantly, positions it more conveniently to contribute toward reduced carbon emissions, thus aligning with the industry's sustainability outlook. In addition to that, KLM could have chosen the A320 family aircraft due to its superior capacity and range. For instance, the A321neo aircraft can accommodate up to 244 passengers, while its closest rival, the Boeing 737 MAX 10, can only accommodate a maximum of 204 passengers, for an airline like KLM. The additional seats would mean enhanced capacity to fly more passengers domestically and within the region, and with that, more revenues. The case is the same for the range, where the Airbus aircraft trumps the 737 with a range of 4,620 miles compared to Boeing's 4,392 miles. The additional range gives KLM more flexibility in flight planning. Moreover, the A320 family aircraft is known for its customer-friendly pricing, an aspect that could also have played a significant role in KLM's final decision. In the same light, the A321XLR that Qantas has chosen as a replacement for its aging domestic fleet, which is largely composed of Boeing aircraft, has actually been dubbed the Boeing Killer. These aircraft actually dominate Boeing in all areas that you can think of, from range to capacity and from efficiency to technological advancements. For instance, in terms of range, the A321XLR can fly up to 8,700 kilometers, about 3,000 kilometers more than its closest rival, the 737 MAX 10. In addition to that, it is 30% more fuel efficient than the previous generation aircraft, completely overshadowing Boeing's 20% fuel efficiency. The A321XLR also promises more cargo space, which Qantas can capitalize on in transporting more cargo throughout the country and earning a bit more revenue compared to what it could earn if it decided to go with the newer 737 MAX aircraft. Also, it is important to note that the A220-300 aircraft that Qantas has ordered is the best-suited alternative to the Boeing 717 at the moment, mainly due to the fact that the Boeing 737 MAX 7, which could be the best alternative, is yet to be certified, further giving Airbus the upper hand in this case. Moving on to the wide-body airline niche, the decision by the three airlines to choose the A350 is based on a number of factors that clearly favor the European aircraft over its American alternatives. First, the A350 has a better range compared to the Boeing aircraft. For instance, in the case of KLM, the airline was faced with a decision between the A350 and the Boeing 787. Now, the A350 has an impressive range of between 9,300 miles and 10,300 miles compared to the 787 range of between 8,046 miles and 7,280 miles. The additional miles mean that KLM will enjoy more agility when it comes to flight planning, something that might not be the case with the 787. The A350 also promises more seating capacity and better fuel efficiency than the 787. There are other factors that cut across the niche and which could also have contributed to the decision by Emirates, KLM, and Qantas to choose Airbus over Boeing. One of the most critical factors that we need to look at is actually Boeing. You see, for the last few years, Boeing has been on an uncontrolled nosedive occasioned by frequent quality control issues that have seen its reputation take a serious hit. It started in 2019 when it was discovered that the company had fitted an erroneous software on the new Boeing 737 MAX 8 and failed to inform airlines of its presence, all this in an effort to avoid triggering a need for extensive pilot training and to attract more airlines into purchasing the new airliner. Boeing would later come out clean about this software, a bit too late, following 2 tragic crashes that claimed the lives of more than 300 souls. In addition to that, a series of quality control issues have resulted in the delayed certification of a number of its new aircraft, including the Boeing 737 MAX 7 and 10, and the Boeing 777X, which is actually intended to compete with the Airbus A350-1000. As if that's not enough, there have been a number of whistleblowers that have criticized Boeing's way of doing things in its 777 and 787 production facilities, further raising questions on the safety of these airliners. In general, Boeing is currently in shambles, and this has pushed many airlines away, as they would rather get aircraft from a reliable manufacturer than risk buying jets from a manufacturer that has had a rocky past few years. Another pertinent factor that we must consider is the fact that Airbus has proven to be quite faster in its deliveries compared to Boeing. For instance, in the first half of 2024, data shows that the European aircraft manufacturer delivered a total of 323 aircraft to 65 customers, a stark difference from Boeing's 175 aircraft within the same period. Therefore, for an airline that wants to have its jets as soon as possible without having to deal with the increased uncertainty of delayed deliveries, Airbus is automatically the only option. It is possible that these airlines could also have been influenced by this fact, especially as they prepare for the soaring demand in passenger air travel both domestically and internationally. This brings us to the next question: what next for Boeing? Well, Boeing must first address the quality control issues that have dented its reputation significantly. Only then will it convince airlines that they can rely on its jets to fly passengers to their destination safely. In addition to that, it must burn the midnight oil to ensure that it gets the 737 MAX 7 and 10, as well as the 777X certified and delivered to already frustrated airlines. This way, it will have reduced the risk of more airlines ditching its planes in favor of Airbus. More importantly, Boeing must ensure that it matches or even surpasses Airbus's innovation to position its jets at par with Airbus. Only then will it be guaranteed of competing squarely with its European rival. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and we will see you on the next one.